Okay, so the first of our flash talks is Charlotte Parker from the University of Nottingham, and she's going to talk about detecting coronaviruses in UK carnivores. And as Julia said, no questions, but if you have any questions for the flash talk speakers, catch them later on this afternoon in the poster presentation section. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. So good morning, my name's Charlotte. I'm a PhD student at the University of Nottingham, and I've just come towards the end of my first year. So what I'm presenting you to you today is a very quick overview of what I've done so far. So in the UK, we have 8 species of wild carnivorous mammals, 7 of which belong to the mustelid family. So we've got otters, stoats, pine marten, ferrets/polecats, Eurasian badgers, mink and weasels. Now, the population estimates are guessed. We don't know specifically how many of each species we have in the UK, but this is a rough estimate from the latest figures I could find. Now, it's known that some of these mustelid species do have their own species-specific alpha coronaviruses. So we know about mink coronavirus and ferret coronavirus. However, more recently, we've detected 2 new types of mustelid coronavirus, which also are potentially linked to alpha coronaviruses. So we have potentially a new novel stoat coronavirus, which is a menovirus, as well as a potential new badger coronavirus known as MERS-CoV. And so my question is, are these viruses present in UK wildlife, and to what extent? So we know that in order to do this, we're going to need some samples from these animals. And so I've set up a sampling network across the UK of people that are willing to collect oronasal and rectal swabs, as well as fecal samples from these key mustelid species. And you can see a graph at the bottom on the map where my samples are coming from. And so these samples are going into RNA later, ready for RNA extraction and further processing. So in order to detect MERS-CoV, we're taking a slightly different approach. So we've got a bank full of archived badger lung samples, which I'm then using to screen for this new potential MERS-CoV. Now, in order to do this, the samples obviously arrive at me, having been stored in RNA later. I'm then doing RNA extraction and cDNA synthesis, and then I'm doing PCR with a nested set of pan-coronavirus primers. On identification of a positive result, I'm then going to use Sanger sequencing and full Illumina sequencing, which then opens up the possibility for bioinformatic analysis using tools such as Kraken-2 and Genius Prime in order to characterize any potential new viruses and understand the epidemiology. Now, this is really important work for understanding the distribution of these novel viruses within the UK and being able to predict the further epidemiological spread or prevalence of these viruses in the UK. And with that, I'd like to thank my supervisors, Dr. Rachel Tarlington and Professor Malcolm Bennett, for their support, and to the sample collectors across the UK. If you have any questions, I'd love to see you at Poster 1. Thanks very much.